Welcome to Travel with Sean. I'm Sean, and today we are at Schloss Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin, Germany. Schloss Charlottenburg was named after Sophia Charlotte, the queen consort of King Friedrich I and sister to King George I of England. In 1684, in celebration of their marriage, Friedrich III, then known as the Elector of Brandenburg and Duke of Prussia, gave Sophia Charlotte this large estate. Completed in 1699 for use as her summer palace, it was initially known as Lietzenburg Palace. She died from pneumonia in 1705 at age 39, and her husband, now known as Friedrich the Great, named this palace and the whole estate Charlottenburg in her honor. Now the royal palace is a museum. During World War II, the palace suffered significant damage from Allied bombings. Following the war, the palace was restored after decades of careful work with attention to historical detail. In 1990, 2 months after the reunification of Germany, Charlottenburg Palace and grounds were added to the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites as part of Palaces and Parks of Potsdam and Berlin. This equestrian statue is of their son, King Friedrich Wilhelm I. None of the furniture we will see inside belonged to Friedrich the Great and Sophia Charlotte, because much of it was lost, stolen, or destroyed. The Mecklenburg apartment is a suite of rooms named in honor of Sophia Charlotte's connection to the House of Mecklenburg. This room was the Queen's dressing room, where she would dress for her public appearances. On the walls are paintings of Friedrich the Great and Sophia Charlotte. From there we enter her bedchamber, what we would now call her bedroom. Next we come to the antechamber, which typically served as a transitional space between the private living quarters and the public areas of the palace. Now we've entered the Queen's audience chambers. The audience chambers were a social space where the Queen could meet with her subjects, court members, and visitors, reinforcing her royal role. This formal room let her handle royal duties and keep up with political connections. Again, we find many royal family portraits hanging on the walls. Off of the audience chambers was the Ancestors Gallery, a hallway lined with portraits of royal ancestors. The design and layout of these rooms highlighted the Queen's status and the importance of events held here. This room is called the Green Antechamber for obvious reasons. and it is the antechamber to Sophia Charlotte's first apartment. She had two. This room is the audience chamber for Sophia Charlotte's first apartment. This room is notable for its decorative tapestries and served as a venue for official receptions. We've entered a room known as the Lower Oval Hall. The oval shape was rare in 17th and 18th century Prussian architecture, emphasizing grandeur and symmetry. The Lower Oval Hall would have been a likely venue for musical performances sponsored by Queen Sophia Charlotte. This hall, known for its grand architecture and elegant acoustics, was used for various courtly functions, including concerts and social gatherings. Known for her love of music and the arts, she invited Italian musicians and composers to the Prussian court and even participated in performances herself. She was a talented singer and a harpsichord musician. Now we're in the audience chamber for King Friedrich I, or Friedrich the Great. It is a significant space that reflects the royal grandeur of the early 18th century. Designed primarily for official receptions and ceremonies, this room was an essential part of the palace's functionality. The king was known for his efforts to elevate the status of Prussia to that of a kingdom. The design and function of the audience chamber reflect his ambitions and the royal court's desire to impress both domestic and foreign visitors. This is the red damask chamber, damask being a type of wallpaper made from silk, originating in Damascus, Syria. Because damask required specialized manufacturing and was made in only a handful of European cities, it was somewhat difficult to purchase and was quite expensive, making it very popular with the extra wealthy in the 17th and 18th centuries. The private audience chamber allowed Friedrich the Great to conduct more personal and confidential meetings. In this intimate setting, he could speak candidly with advisors, ministers, or trusted confidants without the ceremonial requirements of the formal audience chamber. The bedroom in King Friedrich's private apartment was a space of relative simplicity compared to the grand public rooms of the palace. Despite his lavish surroundings, Friedrich the Great preferred a more modest, personal style in his private quarters, reflecting his disciplined and somewhat simplistic personality. King Friedrich's choice to keep his private quarters modest, even at a royal residence, reflects his pragmatic side. The bedroom was badly damaged during an air raid in World War II, but the bedroom has been remodeled to look how it once did. The porcelain cabinet is one of the palace's most striking and unique rooms. It was designed specifically to showcase the Prussian royal family's impressive collection of porcelain. Created under the direction of Queen Sophie Charlotte, this room embodies the luxury and fascination with exotic, finely crafted objects that was prevalent in European courts in the 18th century. The porcelain cabinet served as a display of wealth, sophistication, and cultural connections to Asia, which was an important symbol of status among European nobility at that time. This is one of the most well-preserved examples of the trend in European palaces to dedicate entire rooms to porcelain collections. Now we're in the palace chapel. While it was intended for the royal family, important members of the court and selected visitors were often allowed to attend services. The chapel could also host significant religious events or ceremonies involving the broader court, such as weddings, baptisms, or state services, which would have been attended by a larger audience. The chapel also included a special gallery reserved just for the royal family, allowing them privacy and a direct view of the service. The upper oval hall functioned as a social place where visitors could gather and be received before entering the more private or staterooms. Now it displays several vases depicting various military themes, some with royalty and or other generals. Since Friedrich the Great, before becoming King of Prussia, held the titles Elector of Brandenburg and the Duke of Prussia, He was in possession of the Brandenburg electoral sword and the Prussian ducal sword. The Prussian ducal sword was made in about 1540, while the Brandenburg electoral sword was originally created in 1469. This is an 1866 painting of Wilhelm I, King of the German Empire. The Prussian scepter and crowns of the king and queen were all created for the first coronation in 1701. The royal orb is also from the 1701 coronation of Friedrich as the first king of Prussia. The imperial seal also dates to 1700, but its box is from the late 1850s or early 1860s. The ceremonial hall, sometimes referred to as the festival hall or the White Hall, is one of the grandest rooms in the palace, being created to host important events, receptions, and formal gatherings. The hall is expansive, with a high ceiling and white walls with gold trim that create a bright and airy atmosphere. It also has large windows that look out over the palace gardens. Thank you for watching. Thank you for traveling along with me. As always, I appreciate your support. Until next time, tschüss, auf Wiedersehen, bye bye.